Welcome back to the Top Notch Documentaries YouTube channel. In today's video, I shall be going over two different encounters with Israel Keys. These seem authentic to me, but please be aware that any encounter could be fabricated. As mentioned, these seem authentic, and so I'm going to showcase them. One of these encounters is from the WebSleuths website, and I've included the original post and name of the member in this video. The link to the post is in the description. The final encounter is from a document online, with the link in the description also. I hope you enjoy. The first encounter comes from WebSleuths user Lucky1. I believe my husband and I ran into Israel Keys on the Arethusa Falls Trail in Crawford Notch, New Hampshire, sometime between 2008 and 2010. I've contacted the FBI with my information and have heard nothing, so in the interest of hopefully adding useful information and ultimately finding more victims, this is my story. We were out hiking on a nice day in New Hampshire, and the day stands out because of this incident. We made our way up to the falls, snapped a couple of photos, and started working our way back. Due to the traffic on the trail, we decided to take the Bemis trail back. Not far back to the trailhead, a man walks up to us, heading towards the falls, wanted to know if our Boston Terrier was a pug. I squatted down to control our dogs, and he and my husband chatted. He gave me a very bad feeling, and I didn't like him being between us and the trailhead, so I started working my way past him, which he didn't seem to like. I noticed he was wearing tan shorts, a black t-shirt, black army type boots, with black socks, and was carrying a big black backpack. The most disconcerting thing, however, was what appeared to be a pistol at his waist, covered with a tan hand towel. He had short, curly dark hair and the smoothest, hair-free skin I have ever seen. He made every hair on my body stand up and scream, "Run!" I worked my way around him, which made him declare me unfriendly, and we started walking briskly for the parking area. I was shaken up and talked about it for days to everyone in earshot, but eventually that faded away, until the couriers came up and I started talking about this guy again to the hubby, which is when he mentions seeing him at the falls before we saw him on the trail. So I dug up the photos, and well, you be the judge. WebSleuths user Lucky1 did mention that their camera didn't have the date or time set, so it is tough to pinpoint if this actually was Israel Keys. However, in my opinion, it does seem to resemble him. What are your thoughts on this? Could it have been him? The final encounter is from a girlfriend of Keys. I couldn't uncover her name, but it appears authentic in my mind. Link to the document below. I found it an interesting look into this serial killer, spotting several details that are likely to intrigue you too. This is just mundane information that I found whilst researching the story. It's not necessarily a dangerous encounter, rather more for those deeply intrigued by the details. The woman claimed to have begun dating Keys in September 2004 until February 2005. She first saw Keys at her sister's wedding, held in Washington on August 1st, 2004. She told investigators that Keys had done work for her parents and that her mother had encouraged her to date him. She had been on Match.com and decided to see if she could find anyone that she knew of. She discovers that Keys had a profile on the site and started up communication. And then in September 2004 they began dating. At this time he had long hair and glasses. They spent a weekend together in Near Bay in September the 25th and the 26th of that month. She noted that they had a long-distance relationship because she lived in Kent, Washington. She recalls that Keys had grown up Amish and remembered seeing pictures of him and his family in Amish-style clothing. She also saw Keyes building in the Amish tradition. Keyes' father died prior to them dating, and she said it was believed that he had died from an ailment which could have been treated but was not due to their religious beliefs. She noticed that Keyes was an atheist and had no reason to believe that he'd been abused in his past. She knew about Keyes having branding on his body, one that read Is or IZ, and another of a face. She had known that Keyes had been in the army and had seen a photo album from the Egypt trip. She knew about his DUI and claimed that he had never talked about his army buddies or having met up with any of them. She had noticed that Keyes seemed proud about the efficiency of his trips to Port Angeles, Washington. She stated that he would drive to the furthest store or shop, and then he would hit all the other stores and shops on his way back to Near Bay. When asked about his hobbies, she said that he'd like to play online video games and was a good baker. He would bake pies and fudge better than most mums could. She rationalised this through to the fact that he grew up in an all-woman household. He liked sci-fi movies, the Resident Evil series, and she said that he was a big NFL Vikings football fan. She even made a bet with him on a Vikings-Eagle game, and he lost. As a result, he had to wear a cow costume for Halloween. He was a good sport apparently. During the following Super Bowl game, he lost another bet and had to wear Eagles clothing to work. He was teased quite a bit about this by his co-workers. He loved coffee and smoking cigarettes. His smoking was a tension point at times, and he always had a toothpick in his mouth because of his former smoking habit. She recalled him having email accounts with Hotmail, Yahoo, and with the Makar tribe. He liked to whistle whilst working. She remembers him taking a lot of pride in his work, recalling that he was in charge of the portable toilets during a Makar tribe event. During a conversation, he made a comment that the toilets were cleaner than her own because of how well he took care of them. The woman said that he had a cat called Puff whilst in Near Bay, and told of an incident where the cat scratched the top of her Jeep, and Keyes spent a long time trying to make amends by buffing in the finish. At his residence in Near Bay, she made a note of him picking lighter colours for the house, which seemed odd to her since he was heavily into metal music. The woman apparently broke up with Keyes in February 2005. Keyes had got back from the dentist and afterwards got drunk. She had picked up on 3 red flags, which likely contributed to the breakup. These 3 red flags were that Keyes had been engaged at the time, he excessively drank, and that he had had a vasectomy. Adding to this is the personality test that they both completed, both being similar. They were both introverts. At this time, Keyes had cut his hair, purchased contact lenses. She also said that he was annoyed by lazy people. Again, despite it being on record, anything can be falsified. Not everything is bound to be 100% accurate. Thanks for watching the video, and I appreciate all of the continued support on my videos, especially on the Israel Keyes ones. Thanks again.